Hello and good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. A heap of you jumped on a little bit early, and I was just still drawing my eyebrows on. So we couldn't start it early. I'm just going to share my screen. But welcome, and thank you, everybody, for coming. We're recording this in case anybody is wondering. Liz, are we recording this?
Yeah.
I think it's on. Yeah, nice. Excellent. Okay, well, welcome to your favorite time of month, everybody. It is the Your Success is Our Success campaign that we are running at Logic, and really it's all about just enabling you to be the absolute superheroes that you are within your roles there by using Logic. So before we get started, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today. We would also like to pay our respects to elders past and present. So I know a heap of you already know who we are, so I'm just going to do a very quick introduction. And if you're not sure who we are, it's in the Learning Academy about 6 times now, so we'll send it to you after the meeting. But I'm Kayla, I'm your Head of Customer Experience here at Logic, and really just here to co-host and showcase the amazing Elizabeth Church, who's going to be taking you through quite a heap of the content that we're going to be going through today in terms of task management within the platform and how we can find some efficiencies and digitize our processes within there. Liz has over 6 years experience of working in collaboration with our Logic clients. She's come from that quality background and brings with her this incredible product specialist experience that we get to lean on throughout these campaign. So if you're new to the entire Your Success is Our Success series, we have been running these from the very start of the year, and really it's just about empowering yourselves as a system administrators or primary contacts within your platforms and organizations to ensure that you have the keys to succeed with Logic as your organizations continue to evolve and grow over time. So it's all about making sure that your digital world is keeping up with the real world and what's happening over there so that we can continue to iterate the platform and it grow with you. So before we begin, again, I'm just going to remind you that the session will be recorded and provided to you in an email post the webinar. It will come out generally a few days after. It takes us a little bit to process the recordings. But also we do have a webinar panel. It's a Q&A panel. There's a chat panel. I could see some people getting in there a little bit earlier today just saying good morning, which is fantastic. It is only Liz and I today, so we don't have anybody monitoring those. However, please feel free to ask questions. While we might not get to them now, we will certainly make an effort to get back to you either through the email post the webinar with a little Q&A section or reaching out directly to you if we do know who is messaging us. All right, so the focus of today, we're going to focus on using the platform, your Logic platform, to delegate, communicate, leaving more time for your managers to actually manage and analyze the data within there. So some of the outcomes that we're hoping to achieve today, we want clear task instructions. We don't want our teams coming to us with constant questions and really just reducing the amount of or increasing the amount of time it takes us to complete a task in the system. We want to make sure that the task member receiving the staff member receiving the task. We've got this, Liz. The staff member receiving the task has a really clear understanding of what is expected of them and what they need to do to then send that back through that workflow of, hey, I've completed this task, it's now going to the next person. We want to make sure that you've got the keys to map your organizational processes into the workflows for the asset and contract management registers. So it's important. I'm really keen to for Liz to show you guys this one. It is specific to the assets and contracts registers, but I think it's a feature that is highly underutilized but has so much value. And of course, mapping your external reporting requirements into response protocols. So we've got a feature called response protocols, which really is somebody reports an item, it's a one-click stop for what is the process and how we manage that, which is really, really giving us back that time that we so desperately need in our organizations. So to hand over to Elizabeth, I'm going to kick off with a question, Liz. How can I configure the platform to empower my team to complete tasks on time?
Great question, Kayla. I'll share my screen from now if that's okay.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to get that done is to have some really clear instructions. Have clear instructions and clear processes in place, which means we can delegate those tasks out to all of the different people within the organisation. And as Kayla said, there's a couple of places in Logic where it allows you to do that. And those 5 management registers are probably one of the busiest where task instructions relate to, because that's where we want everything to happen within the organisation. So if we go and have a look and we consider that we may have to schedule, I'm in the licensing register at the moment, and we may have 100 plus staff in our organisation. Each of those staff members are required by legislation to have a current police check, and that needs to be checked, say, every 2 or every 3 years. Now, can you imagine if you need to remember what instructions you've given a person so that all of them have some consistency? That's impossible. Or you've got to have an extra Word document or Excel spreadsheet where you have all of the instructions set out. Logiqc Task Instructions Library, which is an add-on feature, allows you to very quickly and very easily select the task that the user has to do and the corresponding instructions that we want that user to follow. Now, that really takes it away from having to either copy and paste or to retype all of those instructions for 100 or plus staff. In some occasions or in some instances, you can schedule one task for multiple people, but where we talk about things like police checks, working with children, that is really difficult because each person's expires at a different date. So we do want to have that clear and consistent instructions around our organisation. Typically, these are an example instruction that will be part of the task instructions library, and all you would have to do is come in and make those small changes that separates your organisation's process from a general process that Logic developed. The second place where task instructions becomes a really, really handy feature, or where it enables new staff to really take control of their position, is where we have audits, for instance, scheduled. As you're aware, Logic allows staff to inherit tasks from one position to the next. So if we are a new staff member to an organisation and the emergency trolley audit is due and you don't have clear instructions, your instruction says do the audit, how do you know what the organisation's process is? Wouldn't it be much better to inherit this set of instructions that gives you some really, really clear parameters of what it is you have to check, who do you need to notify if something goes wrong, what do we want you to do with that evidence? So I think that's a real game changer for organisations with management registers within Logic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I understand that the task instructions library, it looks like I can apply it to any register in my management bundle there, to any of my management registers. Is that right, Liz?
Yeah. So for each person, it will be based on the management registers that you have. But if you were, for instance, if you did have all 5, there's over 100 instructions. So over 100 different tasks across those registers that Logic provides you instructions for.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it sounds like if, say, I went, you know what, Liz, fantastic, I'm going to go get that today. I don't actually need to spend the next 2-3 weeks copying and pasting my own organization's processes or developing what those are. It sounds like Logic gives me the content and I can just kind of update and review what's there to make sure it reflects, you know, my specific document within the instructions, and I can just release that. Like it's
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And the other thing is if your process changes and you make the change in the back end, the reflection will be across the platform. So moving forward, as you schedule that task, the new instructions will be reflected.
Excellent. Excellent. So does this mean that say I am working out of an Excel spreadsheet and I wanted to just build my own. I didn't like any of the ones that Logic's got. Can I still build my own? Or
Yeah, absolutely. You can edit the ones in the back end, or you can delete them and put your own instructions in.
fantastic. Okay, so I can really see how the task instructions library is going to bring that consistency and that clear instruction. I can absolutely see the value you're talking about there too, Liz, how it's just when you're inheriting a system or you have these staff that are coming in and out, it's just really great to make sure that the knowledge isn't living in the head of a staff member or in a document that maybe no one can find or, you know, is named weirdly. It's actually taking our existing processes that are living in these documents and bringing them into that digital world.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned earlier, I think we discussed or touched on earlier, being able to bake in our systems and our processes into the actual workflows of the asset and contracts registers. What does that look like? Could you give us a
Yep,
bit of that?
sure. I'm just going to switch over to a contract. The process, or what we have here, is the ability to create multiple managed stages. Um, what does that mean in practice? It means that if we have, for instance, a funding agreement that comes across our desk, it's not only one person in the organisation that's going to say, yep, I've checked it, it's all good, and then escalate it to an approver. We've got multiple entities of our organisation that needs to touch that and provide some feedback or provide some commentary. And the workflow builder in Logic allows you to do exactly that. It allows you to set up that contract from start to finish, making sure that the right people touch it at the right time. And again, that we have clear instructions based on their delegations and organisational policy about what we require them to do in each of those stages. So I'm in the workflow component of that contract register here. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done in the back end to set up what your stage names look like. But again, Logic has as examples in your platform for a range of contract types of what a typical workflow could look like, but also if you have the asset register for managing a range of asset processes, what that could look like. So again, we don't send you into the world with nothing. There's some really good examples in there that you can use, or you can change, or you can customize to make your own. So when we want to add a workflow, you simply come into that stage and you select what that looks like. So you can see here, I have a range of different processes relating to my funding contract. But let's say all I want to do is I want compliance to have a look at that because I want them to schedule all of the related compliance tasks. I can give them that instruction. And they can see that really clear instructions. Bella knows what she has to do. Once Bella's done that and set up all of our reporting, might have to send it to finance and HR so they can have a look and see whether what we agreed on in the tender is what's actually in our contract, whether we're meeting our EBA requirements for that staffing component, whether their employment contracts have been updated. Then we might have to get finance to review so that they know what their acquittal and invoicing schedules look like. So there we've already sent this one contract to 3 other entities in our organisation, and they are required to make commentary and feedback before Harper signs off on that agreement. So again, we're taking delegations and processes in our organisation and bringing it into Logic so that we can ensure that right tasks are completed by the right people in the right timeframes.
Oh, amazing. I love this because it really is taking away, like, you know, I think about the Word document that I used to follow, and it's literally like step by step what you have to do. And as the person managing the process, you're manually having to like reassign something or create a task again for somebody else to then take it through this workflow for this one item. And this is just bringing that consistency and visibility to what the actual process is for managing the
Yeah,
contract. So
absolutely.
does this mean that I could then take a contract from the tender process all the way through to execution?
Yes, absolutely. You can set up that workflow from where we're applying for a tender. We are making sure that we do the budget. We're making sure that we write the activity report. So all of those things can be set up as a workflow. And then we might have an approved stage that's when all of these things are done and we send it to the funder then that might come back to us and we might actually win that opportunity, and then we can continue through this workflow around, okay, now we've got to review that budget and we've got to follow that next step, look at our outcomes, and then it goes through an approval process again before we actually start working that contract. So we can have multiple approval stages in here, multiple stages of where a workflow recommences.
Wow, excellent. Okay, so far we've seen the task instructions. and the workflow builder. And really, I'm starting to connect it now where you can really see how that's taking all of the processes that would generally live in an Excel spreadsheet for copy paste or a Word document, and it's now bringing that into Logic and making sure that Logic is actually the manager, if you like, or the process god, the process queen, whatever it is that is really driving our organization's policies, procedures, processes throughout our organization. And the great part about that is because it is something that is configured in your settings, Liz, it just, a change in the organization is a change in the setting, which then pulls through.
Yeah, and the other thing for some of our users that have had Logic for a longer time and don't have Workflow Builder, it just streamlines that process of having to send a task to a person, waiting for them to come back to you, then reassign another task. This just lets you set up that workflow and everyone goes about their business until it comes back to you and go, okay, everyone's done their part, we're ready to escalate.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love that. I can dictate that. I can build that. That can be something that is like it genuinely a true reflection of us. Okay, so we've gone through task instructions, we've seen contract workflow. So I believe we're now up to just having a look at where response protocols fits into all of that. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just move on to an incident that's been reported. And that incident has been sent to an incident manager, as we're all aware what that workflow looks like within Logic. But now this person, Harper in this instance, now she reads this and she realizes that, oh my goodness, this is a critical incident. And we have some really tight reporting timeframes around this, or our policy in the organization really says how we, or dictates what that process needs to look like. So she needs a quick and easy way to get that task on the move so that she meets those particular timeframes. So if we look at Harper's task management screen here, she can assign action. Now, she could previously have assigned action to one person, maybe followed up with an email and say, I really need you to have this done within 24 hours. It's critical, and hope that they get that, they get the email, they get it back to her. Or now with Logic's response protocol, she can dictate that process from the back end. So we can set up a range of response protocols. And again, Logic would have some examples in there for you already around what the process looks like. Response protocols allows us to set a particular action so the user at the touch point knows exactly what it is that they need to do. It sets a particular time frame and it also sets instructions. And what Harper now needs to do is she simply needs to come in and assign those actions to the right people. They know what their due dates are and she can track what the status is, so how those tasks are going. So simply for Rachel or Harper, by clicking the edit icon, she'll assign the task to the right person in her organization. And that took her all of 3 minutes to read through that event and assign the appropriate action to the right people. Now she'll sit back, monitor, and check whether they've done their tasks. As each of them complete their tasks, there'll be that notification in the register level that those tasks are completed and they've moved on to the next person. So again, this really allows her to hand back some of that responsibility where multiple people are involved so that each of those particular people know what and when they're required to complete a task by.
Amazing. And I'm just hearing the same. I'm hearing the same theme throughout all of these, which is that we can provide we provide the content as part of purchasing the feature. So you don't necessarily have to start at creating content and trying to transition your content. It's literally a review in all of these features. Is that right? Or am I just...
Yeah, no, we've worked with a range of agencies speaking about what processes typically look like in their industry. We've gone and we've looked at NDIS specifically and looked at what their critical incident reporting requirements are, and we've set those up. We've looked at typically what a complaint management process looks like what does those policies and procedures dictate? And we've put those examples for you in the back end. So it really gives you, as a user or as a manager or as a system administrator, it really gives you some recognized practice examples in there, some things that typically happen and typical responses about how you could go about that to make sure that you meet external reporting requirements, or you have a really good process in place as an organisation as to how to manage some of those adverse events.
Excellent. And Liz, just in terms of the content, I know earlier we were talking about how we do actually divvy up the content based on the vertical. I've just had a question come through. Do we have response protocols? Would they be aligned to a region? So say New Zealand?
The typical ones, like complaints management, they are aligned to a typical process. We have some examples in there that specifically relate to NDIS because they are available on the website. We don't. We always have a reference from what we work. So if there is a requirement for our New Zealand clients and they can identify some of those processes, absolutely, we could go in and we could customize those processes for them.
Yeah, so really the response, like the content that we provide, it is broad, it's specific to the region and specific to the industry in which we're working. And generally, the processes are broad, but our content creation has come from, well, really decades in the industry of working in from a quality background, and then having a look at our industry standards, how those regions are operating from a quality
Yeah,
perspective and
yeah,
expected to operate. And what we're doing is in our example content that we provide, or our templates that we provide with all of these features, it's really making sure that we're grabbing all the things that are consistent with these people, which is really, or with the different organizations that would activate that feature. The great part about what you just said there, Liz, is that they can actually work with us to customize some of the content if required. But absolutely, so I might use that as a segue into, I guess, the next one, coming back to standards,
yeah.
which is how do I make sure that I have scheduled the right tasks as required by the standards, say, in my accreditation register?
Okay, so for where your standard, so let's think about RACGP or NSQHS2 or any of the New Zealand standards, where the standard agency has released or published an evidence report, Logiqc used that evidence report, an evidence guide, to generate what we call a workbook. And those evidence reports highlight what typically are the audits that you have to schedule, the training, the licensing, what type of contract should you have, what policies and procedures. So we've developed guides that are available to users that have those registers that says if you need to comply with RACGP 5, all of your staff must do a fire evacuation drill twice a year. They must have first aid, they must have CPR, they must all of those particular requirements. So we've developed those guides working with the organisation or with the standard agencies and their evidence reports that they've already produced to put them into a workbook that's easily accessible and easy to understand for our users. So if you have any of those standards, those workbooks should be on your portal, or you can just reach out to us and we can provide you with a copy of those.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. So really, I would only have access to that content if I've got if I've already had the standard within my accreditation register, and really I'll only receive that content from Logiqc where the industry body has actually distributed an evidence guide so that we've got something to work
Absolutely.
from.
Yeah,
Understood.
we can't make recommendations. We can only work from a credible resource. So if there's no evidence guide, we can't develop a resource for that.
Great. And look, I'll put this out there now. If anybody has got a standard activated in their platform, and you don't have the workbook, or you want to know if the workbook's available, please shoot us through an email, and I will show you how to do that shortly, so that we can get that evidence guide to you. And if not, at least explain to you that there isn't one available because the industry body hasn't given us what we needed to be able to create one. So at least if you do need it, please feel free to reach out. Our team's always here, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. So we're coming to the very end. We've got 5 minutes left. So Liz, my question, if I have inherited a platform, the tasks are overwhelming, staff are telling me I don't know where to look because everything's overdue, and now I've got new stuff coming up and the panic is setting in, and I just feel like I need some help to get it all under control. What can I do other than select or delete?
We don't want you to do
options?
that. What we
No.
can, what you can do is you can reach out to us. Logic's got some services in place that we can help you. One of the things that we can do is we can do a task report for you, so we can have a look at your platform and we can have a look at those things that are overdue, and we can come up with some strategies and help you think, give you some strategies about how you can make that better, easier, how you can bring those things back in line. And we can also offer you a service that's called transition assistance. So where we could help you transition content, transition new processes, and anything that changed in the organization. We can help you work through that and find some suitable solutions and outcomes for you.
Excellent. All right. Well, that brings us to a recap. So we've gone through our task instructions library, where really all of the features that we've showed you today it's all about making sure that we're empowering you to take your processes and really just make sure that you've got, really, Logic is doing the work for you, and all you're doing is that management piece of, hey, do you actually need a hand completing those things, or is everything like you can then go on and do your job, which is managing and analyzing the data that is coming out of the completion of those tasks. So to achieve that, we've got our task instructions library, we've got the asset and contract workflow builder, and of course response protocols, which was that last demonstration we saw this afternoon. Now there is some information within your subscription page within Logic, and it actually goes through a full description of what is included with those features and how they work. Our knowledge base also has access to a whole heap of how does it work and what does it look like in terms of setting it up. You can actually look at these features as if you've already implemented them within our knowledge base. Just go through and have a bit of a squiz, and if they're just to gain some more information if that's what you need in order to make a decision. Now, additionally, Liz has explained a few services at the end there. We offer a QMS status report service, which is where somebody like Elizabeth will actually do a one-to-one review of your platform to then give you some feedback on how we can move some of those tasks through. And of course, transition assistance. So when you're looking at purchasing any of the new features or extending your Logic platform in any way, and you want somebody to give you a hand in rolling those features out or just giving you some project management assistance for those features, we can certainly do that. And the great part about everything that I'm showing you today, again, full descriptions that are available within your subscription page within Logic. So with that, I'm going to just make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with us. So we have people like myself and Elizabeth who man the customer success at logic.com.au inbox, and really it's about additional features if you did want to chat additional features, new products or services that you're interested in engaging with, and any training or learning that you feel like you'd like to organise. On the flip side, we've got support. Now, the great part about support and the cool part about Logic in general is that we don't need to actually email at all. You can actually do all of this through your platform. So if you open up Logic, everybody will have this little, what is it, Liz, help me.
Question mark in a circle.
It's a question mark. You'll all have that question mark. You can select that. It will give you access to the knowledge base, but also a support form, and you can get direct contact to our support team, which is just sweet because I like anything that doesn't take me out of product. Again, if you wanted to request, if you've got a standard that's active within your platform and you wanted to request a resource for that, please feel free to do that through your product or through to support@logic.com.au. And our team, I'll make sure our team are onto that while Liz and I are busy getting this post-webinar email through to you. So thank you. And that's really where we're at, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's a half an hour every month, and we absolutely love holding these, and we hope that you enjoy the energy, the insight, and I'm hoping that everyone is getting some really great content out of this and iterating the quality space with Logic. So Liz, thank you as always.
No problem. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
Have a
being
great
here.
day.
See ya.